Level 1, the kitchen table math, age 24 origin. The kitchen table is covered in loose bills. A bank app notification glows text, $3,200 pay deposited. Now you are 24. You sit in a small rental apartment with warm afternoon light, the fridge humming, and you pick up 3 empty, white envelopes from the mail pile. You grab a black marker and you write on the first envelope, needs 50% $1,600 readable. On the second, wants 30% $960 readable. On the third, savings 20% $640 readable. You stare at your pay slip on the table. It shows, pay $3,200 monthly, and you realize you've been spending without a plan. You open your banking app, and it shows $47.12 balance, after rent, after groceries, after gas. You pull out a rent receipt from under a coffee mug. It says, rent receipt $1,100 due, in red stamp. You feel your stomach drop, because $1,100 is already more than 1/3 of your pay. Meanwhile, you find a grocery receipt for $84.23 groceries, and a phone bill $75 phone due. So you start adding on the back of an envelope $1,100 rent plus $75 phone, plus $250 utilities, plus $84 groceries equals $1,509 already. Because you never added before, you thought needs were small. Instead, you see needs are almost exactly 50%. Then you find a food delivery receipt, $38.50 wants delivery, and a streaming bill $15.99 Netflix wants. Later that night, you count your wants delivery, Netflix, shoes, coffee total $620 wants this month. By morning, you realize wants ate your savings. That's when you write the rule on your fridge with sticky note text, 50/30/20 rule, $1,600, needs $960, wants $640 savings. You decide to try it for 1 month. Level 2, the first paycheck split, age 26. 2 years later. Same kitchen table, but now 3 labeled envelopes stand up against the wall like soldiers. Now you are 26. You walk into your small apartment after work with your phone buzzing text, pay $3,500 deposited, on screen. You sit at the table and you pick up the first envelope with text, needs 50% $1,750 readable, and you slide $1,750 cash inside. Your hands move fast. You learn to pay needs first, not last. You open your rent receipt for this month. It says, rent receipt $1,200 due, and you place it in the needs envelope with a clip. You add utility bill $180 utilities due, and grocery budget $320 groceries, and car insurance $150 insurance, total $1,850, and you see you are $100 over 50%. Meanwhile, you grab the second envelope text, wants 30% $1,050 readable, and you put $1,050 inside. You find last month's delivery total, $210 delivery wants, and you wince. You decide this month you will cook 5 nights. Then you take the third envelope text, savings 20% $700 readable, and you seal $700 inside with tape. You open your savings app and it shows $700 savings emergency fund, then updates to $2,400 balance. So last month your phone showed $12.12 balance after $35 fee. This month it shows $45 left in wants, but 0 overdraft. Because you moved money first, not hoped. Instead of checking your balance 11 times a night, you check envelopes once. Later that night your friend texts, drinks tonight? $60. You look at one's envelope, it has $85 left. You say yes, but only one. By morning you still have $25 left in wants. That's when you realize budget is not restriction, it's permission. Level 3, the overdraft trap, age 28. 2 years later. Your banking app dings at 7:14 a.m. with a warning. Now you are 28. You sit in your bedroom with morning light. Your desk has the 3 envelopes text, needs 50% $1,900, wants 30% $1,140, savings 20% $760 readable on each because your pay is now $3,800 pay. You open the notification and it says 35 overdraft fee. In red, and your balance shows 12.50 balance after an automatic subscription you forgot. You pull the wants envelope and count only $40 left in wants. You realize you paid for a yearly app, $99.99 wants app, that pushed you over. So you call the bank and you ask to remove overdraft coverage. The agent says, overdraft fee $35 each time. You say turn it off. Then you open your needs envelope and verify rent receipt. Now says, rent receipt $1,300 due, plus electric, $210 utilities due, total needs, $1,920. You are $20 over 50% again because rent went up. Because rent rises faster than pay, you need to adjust. Instead of panicking, you move $20 from wants to needs for this month, and you write on sticky note, needs 51% this month, okay. Later that night, you look at your savings app text, $5,800 savings balance, readable, and you feel calm despite the fee. By morning, you set all subscriptions to a list on your fridge text. Wants list $15.99, Netflix $12.99, Spotify $9.99 game. That's when you realize 50/30/20 is flexible, not fixed to the dollar. Level 4, the car question, age 31. 3 years later. A dealership lot smells like fresh tires and cheap air freshener. Now you are 31. You stand in bright daylight with your 3 envelopes in your backpack text. Needs 50% $2,250. Wants 30% $1,350. Savings 20% $900. Because your pay is now $4,500 pay. You look at a used car sticker on the windshield. It says, for sale $18,000 payment, $320 per month readable. The salesman says $320 is nothing. Everyone pays it. You pull out your needs envelope and you do math on the hood rent, $1,400 rent, plus utilities, $250, plus groceries, for $100, plus new car payment, $320, plus insurance, $180, equals $2,550 needs. That would be 56% of $4,500, not 50%. You open your phone calculator app, it shows $4,500 x 50% equals $2,250 readable. So $2,550 is $300 over your needs limit. Then you look at your wants envelope, it has $1,350 wants, but you already spend $480 wants eating out. Meanwhile, you remember your savings goal, $900 savings this month for emergency. Because you want the car today, you could steal from savings, but you know that trick never ends. Instead, you ask about a cheaper car. Sign says, for sale $12,000 payment, $210 per month readable. You recalculate, needs become $2,440, which is still $190 over, but close. Later that night, you decide to wait 6 months and save $2,000 extra for down payment to lower payment to $190 per month. By morning, you leave lot with no car, but with $900 still sealed in savings. That's when you realize wants dressed as needs is the most expensive lie. Level 5, the emergency test, age 34. 3 years later. Your phone rings at 11:42 p.m. and it's the emergency vet. Now you are 34. You sit in your home office with warm lamplight, 3 envelopes on desk text, needs 50% $2,600, wants 30% $1,560, savings 20% $1,040, because pay is $5,200 pay. You drive to the clinic and the front desk shows a bill on a clipboard text, emergency bill $850 due readable. Your heart beats because last year you would have put this on credit card at 24.99% APR and paid $35 late fee. You go home and you open your savings app. It shows $9,200 emergency fund. You have been saving 20% for 28 months straight. So you pull $850 from savings envelope, not from credit. You pay the bill and the receipt says, paid $850 thank you, with balance $0 due. Then you look at needs, rent is now $1,550 rent, due plus utilities $300, plus groceries $500 equals $2,350, which is under your $2,600 needs limit, leaving $250 buffer. Because you had buffer, emergency didn't become debt. Instead of feeling broke after emergency, you feel relieved. Later that night, you write on savings envelope text, savings 20% $1,040, emergency $8,350 left, readable after withdrawal. By morning you set automatic transfer, phone screen shows auto transfer $1,040 to savings first each month, readable. That's when you realize savings is not leftover. It's a bill you pay to future you. Level 6, the lifestyle creep, age 38. For years later, your apartment is nicer, but the kitchen table is the same. Now you are 38. You sit at the table with bright morning light. Pay notification shows $6,000 pay deposited, and your 3 envelopes now say, needs 50% $3,000, wants 30% $1,800, savings 20% $1,200, readable. You open your wants envelope and you see receipts spilling out, $120 shoes wants, $85 dinner wants, $200 concert wants, $45 coffee wants x 12 equals $540. You add them $1,950 wants spent, which is $150 over your $1,800 wants limit. You look at needs, rent receipt says, rent receipt $1,800 due, now plus utilities $350, plus groceries $600, plus insurance $200 equals $2,950, still under $3,000 needs, so you are good on needs. Meanwhile, your savings app shows $24,000 savings balance, but you haven't increased savings rate even though pay went from $3,200 to $6,000. Because lifestyle creep eats raises silently. So you decide to keep wants at $1,800 even though you could spend $2,200 and move extra $400 to savings. New envelope label you write, savings 20% plus extra $400 equals $1,600, readable. Then you call your internet provider and you negotiate bill from $90 to $60, saving $30 needs. Later that night you cook at home and receipt says $32 groceries home cooked versus $68 delivery, side by side. By morning you have $320 left in wants, instead of $0. That's when you realize raise without plan just becomes expensive rent. Level 7, the debt snowball versus savings, age 42. For years later, envelopes are now joined by a folder labeled debt. Now you are 42. You sit in your living room with evening light. Table shows pay slip, pay $6,500 monthly, and envelopes. Needs 50% $3,250, wants 30% $1,950, savings 20% $1,300. You also have a credit card statement on table text, card balance $4,200, 24.99%, APR, min $120, late fee $35, readable. You had used card for moving costs last year and never paid it off. You open your needs, rent $2,000 due, utilities for $100, groceries $650 equals $3,050, under $3,250, so you have $200 slack. You decide to use 50/30/20 with a tweak for 6 months. You write on whiteboard, 50 needs 20 wants 30 debt/savings. With text, debt attack 30%, readable. So you put $1,300 for wants reduced to $1,300 from $1,950, and you put $1,950 to debt, and savings $1,300 to debt, $650 to savings. You make payment online, screen shows, payment $1,300 to card, new balance $2,900, readable. Meanwhile, you still save, savings app shows $31,000 balance, emergency 6 months. Because you keep 20% total saving habit even while attacking debt, you don't feel deprived. Instead, you track phone notes. Month 1, $2,900 month, 2, $1,600 month, $30 paid off, readable. Later that night, your partner asks, why not use emergency fund to pay card? You point to envelope, savings 20%, emergency equals do not touch. By morning, month 4 card shows $0 balance, paid in full. That's when you realize 50/30/20 works even when you bend it, as long as 20% stays non-negotiable. Level 8, the house dream, age 47. 5 years later, a realtor office smells like coffee and paper. Now you are 47. You sit at a desk with bright daylight. Realtor slides a sheet text. For sale $280,000 house down 20% equals $56,000 payment $1,600 per month readable. Your pay is now $7,500 pay, so your envelopes would be needs 50% $3,750, wants 30% $2,250, savings 20% $1,500 readable. You calculate needs with household rent $2,000 replaced by mortgage $1,600 plus taxes $350 plus insurance $180 plus utilities $450 plus groceries $700 equals $3,280 needs, which is under $3,750 needs limit. So house fits 50%. You open your savings app, it shows $78,000 down payment saved after 7 years of 20%. You also have a rent versus by sheet text. Rent $2,200 versus by $2,130 by wins $70 readable. Then the loan officer shows a paper text. Loan offer $224,000, 7.1%, APR 30 years readable. You realize payment is needs, not wants. So you put offer document says, offer $270,000, readable $10,000 under asking. Because you save 20% for years, you can put 20% down and avoid PMI $180 per month. Instead of rushing, you wait for inspection report says, roof 5 years old good. Later that night you write on needs envelope new line, mortgage $1,600 needs. By morning seller accepts $270,000. That's when you realize 20% savings for years becomes a front door key. Level 9, teaching the system, age 52. 5 years later. Your kitchen table now has 2 extra small envelopes for your kid. Now you are 52. You sit in your home office with warm lamplight. Your own envelopes say needs 50%, $4,000, wants 30%, $2,400, savings 20%, $1,600, because pay is $8,000 pay. Your kid, 14, sits across with allowance text, $40 allowance, on a small white envelope. You teach him to write. Needs $20, wants $12, savings $8. On 3 tiny envelopes, his handwriting wobbly, but readable. You show your own budget board on wall text. How 50/30/20 works. Needs 50% rent food bills, wants 30% fun, eating, savings 20% future. Readable, your kid reads aloud. You open your banking app to show needs $3,800, spent of $4,000. Wants $1,900, spent of $2,400, savings $1,600 transferred, with text $1,600 saved this month. Meanwhile, you show your emergency fund screen says $48,000 emergency 12 months, and you explain it covers needs if job stops. Because you lived 50/30/20 for 28 years, you never had to borrow from family again. Instead, you show investment app text, $120,000 invested from 20% over time, readable. Later that night, your kid seals his savings envelope with $8 inside and writes, like $240, 30 weeks, calculating. By morning, he asks if he can mow lawns for extra wants. That's when you realize budget is a language kids understand when you show envelopes, not percentages. Level 10, the cycle continues, age 58. 6 years later. The same kitchen table, same warm afternoon light, but you are older now. Now you are 58. You sit at the table with reading glasses. Your envelopes now say needs 50%, $4,500, wants 30%, $2,700, savings 20%, $1,800, because pay with semi-retirement is $9,000 pay from work plus investments. You count needs, mortgage is gone. Receipt says house paid off, $0 due. With stamp. So needs are now only utilities, $500, groceries, $800, insurance for $100, health, $600 equals $2,300, far under $4,500. You have extra $2,200 to give and save. You look at savings app text, $310,000 saved over 34 years from 20%, readable, and you smile because 20% felt tiny at 24. You hear a knock, a new 24-year-old man with short buzz haircut and average build walks in. Your nephew, holding a crumpled pay slip text, pay $3,200 first job, readable, and phone showing $47.12 balance. You slide your old 3 envelopes across the table, still readable. Needs 50% $1,600. Wants 30% $960. Savings 20% $640. Faded, but same. He picks up marker and writes new envelopes, same text. Needs 50% $1,600. Wants 30% $960. Savings 20% $640. Fresh. You both sit at same table, same light, same envelopes, 34 years apart. Later that night, you watch him seal $640 into savings for first time. By morning, he texts you photo text, first $640 saved, with envelope. The cycle continues.